Today I'm reacting to some of the most vicious psychopaths known to mankind. As a diagnosed sociopath, I think I have somewhat of a perspective on this. Let's jump in.
My very first contemplation of criminal behavior was trying to put together a plan of getting away with murder. And I was going to kill my brother. I knew that every Sunday I'd jump on his bike and he'd head
Those are the deadest eyes I've ever seen. Just saying.
down the road to join up with some other fellas. And he loved that bike. And he used to tell me, "You ever touch my bike, I'll kill you." So this Sunday morning, while he's working, I take his bike. I knew if I provoked it just a little bit more that he would chase me. So I gave him a couple of kicks and took off on a dead run for a tree that was right beside my grandfather's barn. And it went up onto the roof. And on the opposite side of the barn, there were cutter rakes. And sure enough, he chased me up there, and as he topped the edge of that roof, I kicked him off it. And he fell onto those rakes.
Holy shit, he impaled his brother. This guy's on another level. Like, I imagine he was a juvenile at that point. The most I did was bring out a knife. Like, this guy's taking it to just the next level. This is insane. Psychopaths are the best storytellers. I've never heard such a gripping tale before. I'm gonna be honest.
Some court people came and got me.
I would hope so. I would hope so.
English language than psychopath, a clinical term for a condition that only recently has begun to be properly defined. It describes a dangerous pattern of behavior which, although it's been recognized for the best part of a century, is little understood. Every decade has produced its own particular brand of psychopaths, whose horrific crimes have defied any kind of rational explanation.
I think that psychopaths rationalize things in their own way. It's kind of like a really unique situation. Like, you know, with Jeffrey Dahmer, he ate his victims because he didn't want to be apart from them. And then there was BTK. He, you know, did all the rest, but he didn't, you know, EPAR any of his victims because he didn't want to cheat on his wife. These people have the weirdest reasons for doing what they do.
We must be concerned about their impact on families when they're out in the community. They move from relationship to relationship. They have multiple children who they abandon. They engage in spousal assault and a whole range of behaviors which are unacceptable.
I mean, this is what antisocial means. People think that it means that we are unfriendly, we don't like going out, we don't like being in social situations. But what it actually means is that we are anti-social norms. So this is the extreme side. This is psychopathy, where this is Robert Hare. He essentially does all of his work within the prison system, because people who are very successful as psychopaths are not going to come out and say, "I'm a psychopath." Like, can you imagine JP Morgan's CEO coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, I stepped on this many necks and yeah, I'm a clinical psychopath"? No, that's why most of the studies are done in prisons.
From the scientific perspective, psychopathy is a combination of characteristics, inferred personality traits and behaviors that hang together. And for this reason, we had to figure out a way to make this idea of psychopathy as scientifically valid as possible. And we spent the next 15 years trying to develop an instrument that would actually do this job, and in effect a measuring tool that was not made out of rubber.
The measuring tool that Hare devised is called the Psychopathy Checklist. It's become the industry standard internationally for identifying psychopaths. In a carefully structured interview...
This is really interesting. The Psychopathy Checklist, which I actually did recently, I scored 39 out of 40, which was the same as Ted Bundy, so I don't have high hopes for myself. But I think this is a really useful tool, especially when it's used in forensic settings, because you want to quantify and qualify that person. and study what is going on in their makeup. Because without that, you can't really come up with something in order to stop them doing very harmful things to society.
In a carefully structured interview, an expert using the checklist, which defines character traits closely associated with psychopaths, can determine the extent to which someone is or is not psychopathic.
These are the most accurate terms that I've ever seen for how I feel. Being bored constantly, conning people, like, it's just been my whole life, honestly.
Many of these characteristics are not uncommon, but points are awarded out of 40, and a score of 26 or higher is required to identify the true psychopath.
We all know that I am not a fan of home diagnosis. I don't think you should self-diagnose for anything, but I would really like to get tested by an actual professional in regards to this, because I feel like 39 out of 40 is somewhat concerning, especially considering a lot of serial killers got less than that on the psychopathy checklist.
Required to identify the true psychopath.
Whenever I list the characteristics that define the psychopath, people will say, well, I know somebody who's got 2 or 3 of those characteristics. Are they psychopaths? And I'll say, of course not. What you've got to do is have a cluster, a combination of characteristics that hangs together.
This is so true. Every single one of my comment sections is like, I relate to this. Does this mean I'm a sociopath? Oh, my brother does this. Is he a sociopath? Or even to the narcissist, it's like, oh, my boss treats me really badly. That's narcissistic abuse. My husband is narcissistically abusing me. Statistically, no, that's not happening, because it's such a remote population of people. While people can have traits of things, it doesn't mean they have the full-blown disorder. So just because you relate to things I say in my videos doesn't mean that we are the same.
Disruptive. I'm here serving a 5 to 20-year sentence for sexually molestation of 4 boys, the ages of 4 to 12.
How effortlessly is he saying that? That's disturbing.
Wayne has been here for more than 10 years and perhaps has 10 more to do. He scored 40 on the psychopathy checklist.
He scored 40 out of 40 on the psychopathic checklist. That is horrifying. That's even more than Ted Bundy. And the fact that he can talk about e-powering children with such ease is kind of scary. So I don't know if he should have been let out at any point. And I'm probably going to do my research to see if he did get out, because there should be some sort of warning sign around.
The authorities here believe that time and money spent trying to reform psychopaths like Wayne is a worthwhile investment.
I hope that the tools that I've learned in this program and other programs like it, I can...
Head of the therapy program, Tom Powell.
I don't think they're worth it. I do not think psychopaths and sociopaths can be rehabilitated. I don't think that's a thing. I think you are wasting your money, wasting taxpayer money, draining it to try and fix people like this. Like, I went to therapy. All I did was get better at lying. So
finally found the light and has seen the error of his ways.
The therapists are wonderful. I learn a great deal from them. Sometimes it can be hard. I suppose that's the way it's supposed to be when you're growing up.
This guy is talking straight bullshit. He is lying straight to this guy's face. If you mute this and watch the reaction in his eyes, nothing happens. There's nothing truthful about what he's saying. But he's just good at lying because he's been given therapy, which has helped him lie.
I suppose that's the way it's supposed to be when you're growing up. I'm ready to go now. I know that that decision will come from others who have already seen. They've seen my change.
This guy wouldn't change if he was given $10 million. There's no way to change it. He's just straight up lying.
Therapeutic magic that can work with these individuals.
It's not good for me to be around any female child. I'd rather be a young child or a teenager.
The thing about psychopaths is that they can tell you these stories with such ease. He's talking about something that's so severe, so antisocial, and beyond the comprehension of most people, with just the way you would talk about the weather. That's how skilled these people are. And you'll notice that he seems somewhat sincere, doesn't he, when he lies? But we know it's a lie because when you look at his eyes, the way he's acting, we know it's not consistent with what he's saying. So he is convincing, but if you watch this guy on mute, you can see that he doesn't mean anything that he's saying. He has been in therapy, he's lying, he's good at it. He's gonna keep doing it.
On primetime television. The fact that he was a national hero didn't exclude the possibility that he was also psychopathic.
Back up, please. Get out of the way. Step back here. You got any comments? Step back. You don't know anything, sir? Step back. Have you been told you're under arrest, OJ?
I watched The People vs. O.J. Simpson probably about 6 times because I fucking love it. I love the guys who actually play the lawyers. They're so similar, the actors to the lawyers. And honestly, OJ is definitely a psychopath, in my opinion. Please don't sue me, OJ. I know you're poor at the moment, but please don't sue me. He is like the prime example of a narcissistic psychopath because the whole thing was about his image. He didn't want his image to be soiled. So, and obviously he has a lot of rage, which is very common in psychopaths and narcissists. He sees his ex-wife with somebody else. What does he do? Stabs them. What would a normal person do? Probably cry and go home. So we can see the ease with which these people go in and commit crimes that are so heinous and then just like, you know, speed down the road with like all of the police behind you and everything. That was a crazy car chase. I enjoyed that.
His research into psychopathy has focused on the part of the brain called the amygdala.
The amygdala is a small structure that is housed underneath temporal cortex, almost in the middle of your brain, that's crucial for emotion and particularly emotional learning. It's most important for the generation of fear and also seems to be very crucial in processing sad faces. From some of the imaging work we've done, we've shown that
Personally, I think that my amygdala doesn't work. I don't think I think it's very underdeveloped, which is why I think I have sociopathy. I think it's a mix of that and nurture, but this is something that's really important to the study of ASPD.
if you show a sad face to another human being, you see activation of the amygdala.
I want to get this PET scan done where they show you these images that elicit emotions and see if your brain lights up. I really don't think my brain's going to light up. At 500,000 subs, I'm going to arrange a polygraph test and see if I can pass. And at 1 million, I'm going to get the PET scan done. I think it'll be really fun to see if my theories end up being a reality. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. And be tuned for my next videos.